There was a moment last week, or maybe the week before, hard to say exactly. You were doing something ordinary, making tea, sitting in the car waiting for something, standing somewhere familiar, and for a second you just stopped. Not because anything happened, because nothing did. And in that nothing, there was this feeling, small, just under the surface, like something inside you had gone very still, not calm, still, the way a room goes, still, right after someone leaves it. You moved on, you had to. There were things to do, but the stillness stayed. And the strange part wasn't the feeling. The strange part was how unsurprised you were by it. Like some part of you had been waiting for that moment. Like it had been building quietly for a long time and finally found a gap in the noise to show itself. That part of you is older than your thoughts. It doesn't rush. It doesn't argue. It doesn't need you to understand it. It just waits. And when the world gets loud enough that you stop being able to hear yourself, it gets quieter. It retreats somewhere deeper, into a layer of you that most people spend their whole lives never reaching. Ibn Arabi called it the heart, but not the heart people talk about. The one beneath it, the one that knows things before you do. And maybe that's what's been happening. Maybe that deeper part of you already knows something your mind is still trying to catch up to. Something about where you were going. Something about what you were holding. Something about the direction you were so certain about. Because you got what you wanted, and it felt wrong. Not wrong like a mistake. Wrong like wearing the right name on the wrong person. Like arriving somewhere you planned for years, and standing at the door and realizing the feeling you imagined would be there wasn't. And you didn't tell anyone that. How do you say that? How do you say I got it? And something in me went quiet, not peaceful quiet. Quiet like a signal that disappeared. Quiet like a frequency your chest used to carry that just stopped. You went back to what you knew, tried to want what you wanted before, tried to feel the hunger again, but wanting it felt like reaching for something through glass. You could see it, you just couldn't touch it the same way. And that scared you more than losing it would have. Because losing something you love, that has a name, people understand that. People sit with you through that. But losing the wanting itself, nobody sits with you through that. You just carry it, quietly, while looking completely fine from the outside, while nodding when people talk about your future, while building things you're no longer sure you believe in because stopping feels worse than continuing. And the whole time something in your chest just waiting, like it knows something you don't, like it already moved on to a place your mind hasn't reached yet. I want to sit with you for a moment, not teach you something, not explain anything, just sit with you, because I think you've been in a place that very few people talk about. Not the place of obvious suffering where people can see you're struggling and offer you comfort. The harder place. The quiet in-between place where you're not sure if you're falling or being lifted and no one around you can tell either. Ibn Arabi didn't have a simple word for it. He described it like a passage, an isthmus, not quite here, not quite there, a space that is real but not visible, a door you're standing in front of but you can't see the other side. You've been standing at that door, haven't you? I remember this feeling. Or something like it. When things I had chased for years just stopped feeling like things worth chasing. And it wasn't a decision I made. I didn't sit down and say, today I'll change what matters to me. It just happened. Slowly. Then, all at once, the things that used to give me energy started feeling flat. The people I used to want to impress stopped mattering the way they did. The version of success I had built in my head for years started feeling like someone else's dream. Like I had been wearing a coat that wasn't mine for so long, I forgot it didn't fit. And I didn't know what to do with that. Because when you've been reaching towards something for so long and suddenly your hand just lowers, you don't feel liberated, you feel lost. Here's what nobody says about divine redirection. They make it sound like something you notice in the moment, like a sign from the sky, like something obvious. But that's not how it works. That's never how it works. It works like a quiet withdrawal. like something being gently pulled back from you before you even realize it was ever being held in place by something other than you. You start losing interest in things you thought defined you, and you tell yourself it's just a phase. You try to force the old feelings back. You tell yourself to be grateful, to focus, to try harder. And sometimes you can fake it for a while. You can perform the old version of yourself for a few more weeks. But then something happens. Something small. Maybe a late night where you just sit in silence. Maybe a conversation where someone says something ordinary and it lands in you like it carries weight from another world. Maybe just a moment driving somewhere familiar, and the familiar suddenly feels foreign, and you realize you're not the same person who started this road. Ibn Arabi wrote about the heart in a way that I used to read and think I understood, but I was reading it from the outside. He said the heart is the only place that can hold the divine, not the mind, not the plan, not the ambition, the heart. But here's what he meant that took me years to feel, not just read. The heart can only hold that much when it has been emptied, and emptying doesn't feel like preparation. Emptying feels like loss. You lost something, or you thought you lost something. A relationship maybe, a version of your future, a version of yourself, a person you trusted, a dream you worked toward, a sense of certainty that things were going the way they were supposed to go. And when it left, there was this hollow space. And instead of that hollow space feeling like room, it felt like absence. And instead of absence feeling like invitation, it felt like rejection. And somewhere inside you, you started asking a question you couldn't say out loud. Not, why did this happen? That question is too clean. The real question was messier, more desperate. Was I even seen in any of this? I don't know your specific story. I'm not going to pretend I do, but I know that question. I know the feeling underneath it. That particular kind of pain that isn't about what you lost. It's about what you thought the loss meant. The fear that maybe everything you prayed for, everything you worked toward, everything you quietly believed was being built for you. Maybe it wasn't. And that fear, that particular fear, is not a spiritual weakness. It's actually the beginning of something. It's the crack in the wall. And I know that's not comforting to hear. I know you wanted someone to say, no, you were always seen. And maybe that's true. But the more important thing, the thing that actually changes something is this. The crack in the wall is not damage. It's where something enters. Ibn Arabi spoke about the nafs, the self, the constructed self, the version of you that was built by experience and desire and fear and ambition and the need to be understood by other people. And he said, there is a process. There is an unavoidable process that happens to the heart that is being prepared for something more real than what it currently holds. That process is not comfortable, and it doesn't look from the inside like preparation. It looks like destruction. You lose things. Not because you did something wrong, not because you weren't worthy, but because the things you were holding were not the things you were being prepared to hold, and your grip had to loosen. And loosening doesn't happen when you're relaxed. Loosening happens when something leaves. I'm not saying your dreams were wrong. I want to be careful here, because I think this is a place where people get misled. They're told, let go of what you want, and they hear your wanting was the problem. And that's not what I mean. Your wanting was never the problem. Your wanting was actually a sign of something alive in you. But wanting at a certain stage of growth gets refined. It gets purified. The wanting doesn't disappear. It becomes more precise, more real, less about what you thought you needed and more about what you actually are. And that shift from the constructed want to the real want, that process is uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable because the constructed want had a face. It had a shape you could describe. It had steps you could follow. It had a version of success that people around you could recognize and validate. The real want doesn't have that yet. The real want is still forming, and you're in the middle of that formation right now. There's a particular kind of person I've noticed. And maybe you're this person. the kind of person who keeps trying, even when things aren't working, even when something inside them has already started to shift. They keep pushing the old direction because letting go feels like giving up. And giving up to this person feels like the worst thing imaginable. They were taught that persistence is virtue, and persistence is virtue. But there's a difference between persistence and forcing something open that's meant to stay closed. And the difference lives in the chest, not the mind. The mind will always find reasons to keep going. The chest knows. Ibn Arabi kept returning to one thing that I think is the heart of what he was trying to say. The closer you are drawn to something real, the more everything false has to fall away, and you can't choose what falls. That's not up to you. You didn't volunteer for the audit. You didn't sign up to have the things you clung to gently, or sometimes not so gently, removed from your hands. It just started happening, and you've been trying to understand it as failure. But what if it's more like a clearing? What if the reason things stopped working isn't that you were doing something wrong? What if it's because you were outgrowing the container? I don't want to oversimplify this, because I know that for some of you what fell away was painful in a way that doesn't feel like spiritual metaphor. A person left, someone betrayed you, a dream collapsed and took something from you that you still haven't named. I know that's real, and I'm not going to dress that in nice language and call it a blessing and expect you to feel better. The pain is real, the loss is real, and the confusion is real. But somewhere underneath the pain there's also something else. Something that doesn't quite fit inside the grief. A quiet, a stillness. Like your soul stopped reacting the same way it used to, and you don't know if that means you've healed or if it means something deeper is happening. Something you don't have language for yet. Ibn Arabi said that the one who is being elevated is often the one who feels most lost. Because the elevation isn't from where you were standing to somewhere slightly higher on the same ground. It's from one kind of ground to a completely different terrain. And changing terrain doesn't feel like elevation in the moment. In the moment, it feels like disorientation. In the moment, it feels like standing in a place you don't recognize, looking back at a place you do recognize but can no longer reach. And you miss it. You miss the old ground, even if the old ground was never where you were supposed to stay. There's something that happens in the heart when the redirect begins. The things that used to feel urgent start feeling less urgent. And the things you used to rush through start asking for your attention. You find yourself sitting in silence longer than you used to. You find yourself drawn to things that don't have a clear return, to reflection, to prayer that doesn't feel like asking for anything, just presence. You find yourself less interested in performing the version of yourself that used to get the most approval, and more interested in something you can't fully name. And that unnamed thing is real. It's more real than the map you were following before, but it doesn't have the clarity of the map, and that terrifies you, because you're someone who works with clarity. You move with direction, you build with intention, and now the direction feels uncertain, and you don't know if that's growth or confusion. It's both. It's both at the same time. Here's what I really want to say, and I want to say it quietly, not loudly, because this kind of thing gets cheapened when it's said loudly. What's happening in you right now? The distance you feel from who you were, the way the old ambitions sit differently in your chest, the silence that keeps meeting you at the end of your thinking. None of that is abandonment. You thought you were being left behind, but something was being dismantled so that something else could be built on a foundation you didn't know you needed, and you can't see the new structure yet. It's not finished, and you might not see it for some time, and the not seeing is its own kind of pain, because you're the kind of person who needs to see where they're going to feel okay about the journey. But you're being asked right now to do something that doesn't come naturally to someone like you. You're being asked to move through a space without a map, not because the destination doesn't exist, but because the map you were using would have taken you somewhere other than where you're meant to arrive. The ones who are being redirected towards something real are usually the ones who feel the journey most acutely. Not because they're weaker, because they're more awake to it. And being awake to it hurts. But being awake is not the same as being lost. Maybe this isn't the end of what you were. Maybe it's just the part where you stop recognizing yourself long enough to finally meet who you're becoming.